All right, folks, welcome to another edition of Ranking the Songs. And today, as you probably seen the long arm of Logan Collins there, he's one of our special guests. And the rest of us are all here too. We got Mr. Sidney, also from Slogan's Rock and Roll Extravaganza. And then the bottom down there, you see Mr. Davey Cretin from his famous website and usual guest appearances there. Good old Cretin Classics. He's everywhere here. This guy. We got him on board for this special show today. We are going to go through the whole career of Ronnie James Dio. And to get us acquainted with everything, we're going to start off with Sidney, and you can start, just mention how when you first got into Dio or first knew of them, and then after that we'll go from there.
Well, I can't really remember when it would have been first. I would have to say either with Rainbow Rising or with Heaven and Hell. I can't recall which came first. Because remember, I didn't grow up with any of this music. So it was from before my time. So it would have been with whatever my dad had in his collection. And at the time, I think it would have been Rising because I don't think he had Heaven and Hell on CD yet. I think that was one of my purchases. So it would have been probably Rising. Would have been when I first heard of him and then started listening to everything. So yeah. Probably Rainbow Rising, I would say, for sure.
All right. What about you, Logan? How did you first become acquainted with the metal god, Mr. Ronnie James Dio here?
Well, I'd say probably with the Sabbath work, I'd say I heard Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules before anything. But I have a CD. This is the Dio years.
Okay,
It's
I've
like a
seen
best
that.
of compilation. It's got like two new songs on it and stuff. I think I listened to this like nonstop when I was, 10 or 11. So
Mm.
I was a weirdo even back then. So, but yeah, that's my gateway into Dio. So.
All right, Davey.
For me, without giving too much away, I'm just going to say the early 80s. I heard something on the radio and I said, who the heck is that? And I had never heard this guy before. And we'll just leave it there for now.
Oh wow, nice. A little bit of secretive there.
Doesn't want to give his pick away. So.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't really about that, but anyhow, I would say for me, um, I would say pretty much I got into them in 1983. Holy Diver album was out because Rainbow in the Dark was on the radio. And around the same time, they would do double shots on our radio station. So they actually threw in Man on the Silver Mountain. So it's like those were the first two songs I become acquainted with. I never really, because the radio didn't really touch Heaven and Hell. So I wasn't familiar with it right then and there. It took, a couple years later down the road. And then, of course, once you heard Heaven and Hell, what can you say about that masterpiece? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and then Ronnie just, from there, he was on such a roll in the early to mid 80s when every album he released was just a gem, and you go back and then you look at the rest of the catalog and you look at everything there and it's odd that this guy has only played on one top in the US, that is, only one top 10 album, and that was the last one he recorded, The Devil You Know, which was recorded under the Heaven and Hell moniker. So when you look back at his Rainbow, the best charting position was of the first album, what he played on with Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, peaked at number 30. And with Black Sabbath, the first album was Heaven and Hell, which peaked at number 28. Mob Rules followed it up by peaking at 29. And then the best album for Dio that charted, other than what I mentioned, was actually The Last in Line, which peaked at number 23 in the US. And then after that, he had a lot of albums that charted, but nothing higher than that. So it's just amazing what a career this guy had. And he really, didn't have the charts behind him. Yet he still managed. I mean, this guy's a legend, man. There's no denying that, just one of the greatest vocalists of our time. Just goes to show you, you don't have to be selling a ton of records to be put on a pedestal in this industry. This guy was definitely, just a great talent. and it's just interesting. He didn't grow up, it's a few hours from me at Cortland, New York, and
Yeah.
we actually rode by and got a picture with the sign in front of his old house and everything was pretty cool. I was out there about a couple months ago, so it was pretty cool to see all that because I never got a
Awesome.
chance to before, so that was pretty neat.
That's
Um,
Nice.
great.
yeah, so we came up with this idea. I came up with it, and I said, "Hey, I got a couple guys that might be interested." I ran this by this Slogans and Mr. Davey Cretin, and we said, "Yeah, this is gonna be a fun, man, because we got so many different bands and songs to choose from. I don't even want to." Couldn't even tell you how many songs this guy actually recorded. He's had so many bands early on in his career, and then, of course, he had three albums with Al under the Alf moniker, and then all the solo albums and a couple Black Sabbath and Rainbow. This guy's had just a masterful career, and it's just a shame that we lost him just a little too early because I know he still had a lot of stuff left in him and a lot of stuff that he wanted to do that he never got a chance to finish what he started in that respect because I think they were going to start working on another Heaven and Hell album, and that would have been great to see. But sadly, that the first one is the last one we got with him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so we didn't keep any. We're not holding any, barring any songs. Anything that Ronnie sang on, we got. You can put it on your list if you choose. So we're going to give you our top 10 Ronnie James Dio songs. And we're going to start off with Sidney, and we're going to go two at a time. So we're
Okay.
going to go around the table with 10 and 9. We'll start off the thing here. And what do you got for your 10? Number
All
10.
right. Well, these first bottom two, I guess I'm not gonna say bottom because they're the top 10, right? I'm not calling them bottom songs, but yeah. I'm surprised they were this low. Like I actually shocked when looking at it now. And like again, we could do this in a week and I might switch it around, but yeah, you had to put them somewhere. So number 10, shockingly, Heaven and Hell.
Hmm.
That's probably
They're
a
gonna be
little
a top
off of
10.
the others, but yeah. Oh, of course. Got to. I almost didn't have it in there, and I'm like, okay, that's ridiculous. I can't have Heaven and Hell. I'm like, okay. So yeah, top 10s. My number 10 is Heaven and Hell. It's got the more beat that everybody knows, and
Mhm.
that the bass kind of not makes the song, but that's the bass line is the song gets everybody in the crowd singing along, and yeah, it's just a typical crowd song. And then you love how it builds up and all the changes, and then the solo at the end and how it gets really fast. And Ronnie sounds amazing. It's probably my favorite album that Ronnie sang on, maybe as an album as a whole. But maybe it probably would be Rising, but it's kind of a toss up between those two. It's very difficult when it comes to his material to really pick a favorite even album or song or that kind of thing. But I went with Heaven and Hell for my number 10. And then 9, another shocker that it's this low, is Mob Rules. I just love that opening riff, that opening riff at the beginning, and then the scream comes in where he's yelling "Come on!" and just a high energy song. And then you kind of have the two versions, right? You got the heavy metal version. I think I
Yeah.
like the studio version a little bit better. They're different. They're a little bit different. They're not totally, but yeah, just a great high energy, fast pace, in your face song from another classic album. Yeah, so Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules.
All right.
Cool.
Sounds good. What do you got for us, Logan?
All right. So I'm gonna kind of piggyback off Sidney here a little bit. Same album. I'm gonna go with Children of the Sea for my 10. Um, but yeah, just a great kind of. This is the first song to me. I know Summer Rainbow kind of did this, but he kind of goes from like the lighter acoustic kind of fare at the start, and then it gets heavier towards the middle section. And I just love that part of the song. It's got a great solo in it for Myomi. I mean, did he make a bad solo? Not really.
No.
Um, but yeah, Ronnie's vocals are killer. I think this is one of the first songs too that Ronnie wrote for Sabbath, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but
You're right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm right. Cretin knows, man. Cool. But yeah, it's my number 10, Children of the Sea from Heaven and Hell. And my number 9 is a song that kind of influenced a whole genre of music and a whole bunch of metal bands in the 80s. And it's off this album right here.
Oh, I
It's
know it's
Kill the
good.
King. Killer King. Yeah. It's got a classic Richie Blackmore riff, double stopped, great solo and everything. But yeah, it's got like the mythical themes, and I mean, who else was really singing about that in 1978, 77, whenever that came
Yeah.
out? I can't
78.
remember. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a couple bands, but I mean, Rainbow were like the first kind of band to ever do anything like that. So I had to have a little bit of them on here. So yeah, that's my 10 and 9.
All right. That's going to turn it over to Mr. Cretin, Davey Cretin.
My number 10 is written by Ronnie, Tony, and Geezer. From 1981, the Mob Rules album, nearly 8 minutes long, The Sign of the Southern Cross. And this is an epic Sabbath song. It starts off as a sweet, mellow ballad with Iommi on acoustic guitars, Geezer on these subtle, low bass notes, and Ronnie is singing in the sweet vocal style. He double tracks himself. He's single tracked. He's doubled. And then the Golem comes in. Vinny on the drums crashes in at 1:15, and it turns into a smoldering doom tune with exceptional playing by all three instrumentalists here. And needless to say, you get the savage vocal from Ronnie on this song. It's churning, it's roiling, it's broiling, it's boiling. Bonus points on this song for Ronnie for mentioning the word rainbow. And after he was in the band Rainbow, allegedly, he says the word rainbow on every album after that. Now, I'm not familiar with or too familiar with a lot of the later Dio records, so I can't say that's 100% true, but I think it is. Of course, his ending vocal vamp on the song is great. Iommi takes the song out with his screaming lead guitar work, and as the song fades, Jeff Nichols' keyboards start for E5 150, and the song fades out, and then that instrumental begins. But it's nearly 8 minutes long. It's epic, and you'll notice I have a lot of epics on my list. At number 9, another epic, written by Ronnie Dio and Craig Goldie, a little over 7 minutes long, 1987's Dream Evil album, All the Fools Sailed Away. And you get Goldie's guitar for the first 10 seconds. And to me, it's slightly reminiscent of the Scorpions' Still Loving You. And then he changes up the notes, and it doesn't sound like that at all. Once again, Ronnie is singing in a clear, high, angelic voice for the first minute over Goldie's guitar work, Jimmy Bain on bass, and Claude Schnell on synthesizers, before the tune kicks in at the 1 minute mark with Vinny coming in masterful form. Dio floats over the top with his typical aplomb. Halfway through, the bridge reprises the mellow intro before Ronnie wails and a song. You get some great Goldie guitar work here, and even a proggy synth solo by Claude Schnell. So Ronnie did occasionally cross over sort of into the prog metal realm, a little bit. I wouldn't call him a prog artist.
He dipped his toe in the water.
Yeah, especially with Rising. But more on that later. You get the Mitchell Singing Boys helping out on the choruses throughout the song. Gleaming guitar work from Goldie takes the song out, along with Ronnie's regular vamping vocals. So my number 9, All the Fools Sailed Away, great song. And you got to hear the full version, not the video edit at 4.5 minutes. It has to be the full 7-minute version in all its glory. And at nearly 8 minutes, my number 10, Sign of the Southern Cross.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right.
Great. Yep.
Yeah, what a bunch of great songs so far. We're just getting started here, folks. All right. Well, my number 10 is another epic. And this goes back, probably one of the first epics this guy sang on. And we're going all the way back to Rainbow Rising for Stargazer. Man, oh man, that was it was so hard to put this song even at number 10 because it's such a great song, but there's other songs I just like better. But man, oh man, it was tough. This one is a great song, and over time, this one's definitely moved up my list. I mean, I'll admit it was more, because like I said, I didn't really get into the Rainbow part till later on. I mean, I knew Man on the Silver Mountain, but as far as a lot of the other Rainbow songs, that's like the only one they really ever played much on the radio, at least on the classic rock around here. But man, how this classic rock stations really needed to play Stargazer up in our area because man, what a great song. definitely one of the standout tracks on that album. And, it's just interesting how that song all came out with the orchestration and how they chopped it all, a lot of it away. And the orchestra was getting pretty pissed at I had to keep on playing it over and over. That was Richie Blackmore's quotes I saw in an interview about the album. So, but man, that song turned out great just the way it did, no doubt. So that's what I got for my number 10. And number 9, I've got the title track from his first solo album. Of course, we're talking Holy Diver. It would have been really tough to leave this one off the list. Just great song. Starts everything off in fine fashion with a great guitar solo in this one. It's this song has everything. And this is of course Vivian Campbell on guitar, and you had Vinny Appice in the band, and I believe was it Jimmy Bain who played on the album as
Yeah.
well, right? Yeah, the
Yeah.
bass player.
Yep.
Yeah, they had this lineup together for a little while, and seemed like once this lineup kind of went away, Dio kind of went down a little without it. These guys were really on such a great roll. But man, what a debut, I mean, this comes what 2 years after he left Sabbath, pretty much, maybe a little less. Because '81 they did the Mob Rules, and then he toured with
Mhm.
them, and then the fallout with that live album, all that
In
fiasco.
'82, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was something else. But yeah. So 10, I got Stargazer. 9, I've got Holy Diver. And let's see. I can't wait to see what else we got here going forward. This is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What do you got there, Sid? We're going to go with
Well,
8 and 7.
yeah, so wow, that's weird how that lined up. So my number 8 is actually Holy Diver. So yeah, pretty much everything you said. And I love that music video too, where he got the sword. Yeah, it's very cheesy, but I still love it. Love that music
Yep.
video for that song too. It's just
Yep.
such a great song. And that chorus, you can just sing along to it. And I have no idea what he's singing about because it's about dragons and tigers and
He makes
well,
it
it
sound awesome, man. That's the important
makes
thing.
it sound awesome. Yep. Who else could get away with singing that stuff, right? Without making
Yeah.
it sound ridiculous. Only Ronnie. But yeah, such a great, memorable song. Just for the chorus alone. And yeah, with Vivian comes in with a wicked solo in that song. And all of the solos on all the solos on Holy Diver are amazing. For me, that's almost like a perfect album. Like I'm not gonna say too much, but yeah, the great song. And then also from Holy Diver, my number 7 is Don't Talk to Strangers. It's
Oh.
great song. Starts off thinking like it's gonna be like a ballad, and then that scream kicks in, and that riff kicks in, the chugging riff that goes throughout, and then there's the part before the solo where he goes really high, and Vivian just goes off again onto another great solo. And it's just what a great song. And there's still quite a few changes in a song that's really kind of a ballad, but there's lots of changes in it too. And it's just such a great fun song to you can sing along to that one too. Like all these stuff, this is the great thing with Dio, like everything's heavy, but you can sing along to it. Like they're not
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
not
my
like
Yeah.
number 8.
He never loses the melody and the heaviness.
No,
Yeah.
there's this great mix of heaviness and melody, especially in a
yeah.
song like "Don't Talk to Strangers." There's all these different riffs that go on and just changes, and yeah, that's my 8 and 7, Holy Diver and Don't Talk to Strangers.
All right.
Cool. All right. So I'm gonna go into an album I don't think we've talked about yet. It's the
Oh,
follow up to Holy Diver, The Last in Line. And I'm going with One Night in the City, which is the side
oh,
one chorus.
wow. All right.
Yeah, I love that song, man. I love it because it's got like Ronnie's storytelling side. He's talking about man, I can't remember the guy's name. It's like Sally, and she's a princess, and this other guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I had it in my head, but yeah, they like meet and stuff. And it's just a great storytelling kind of song. I just really like that. It's got a heavy. It's kind of mid-tempo heavy. It's not really fast or anything, but I just love that chorus. Very anthemic. Yeah, it's just a classic, I think. So that'll be my number 8, One Night in the City. And then me and Davey are gonna go number 7 here. He had it on his list too. All the Fools Sailed Away from Dream Evil. Yeah, and don't listen to that 4.5 minute radio edit.
That's bad. I don't know
But
why
yeah,
they do that. Stupid.
yeah, no.
For
Pretty much
airplay.
Yeah, pretty much everything Davey said though. Mentioned Claude Snell's great keyboard solo goes right into Craig Goldie's great solo, and I know Joey said they kind of dropped in quality a little bit. Like I know he didn't mean like a lot,
Right.
but when that original lineup broke up, but I think Goldie was a great fit in this band, and I mean he came back later on and stuff, but I just wish they kind of kept this lineup a little bit longer than they did, because yeah, Dream
Yeah.
Evil's a top. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, those are my 8 and 7. So I'll throw it over to Davey.
Sweet. My number 8 was already mentioned. It hit number 72 in the UK, number 40 on the Billboard Rock chart, nearly 6 minutes long, written by Ronnie himself, the title track to his debut album, Holy Diver. Begins with a swirling wind effect and Dio or Bain on keyboards until the band kicks in at the 120 mark. Vivian Campbell riffs it up on this song with the best of them. And Vinny on drums and Jimmy Bain on bass provide the bedrock to the song. Dio soars above it all again, adding his vocal punches of Look Out. And I just love the lookouts that he does. And also here, Jump, Jump.
Yeah.
Vivian Campbell unleashes a sterling solo a little over halfway through the song. And Ronnie sure knows how to pick his guitar players throughout his whole career.
Yeah.
All his foils were great, starting with the guys in Elf who were underrated. What's his name? David Feinstein on the first Elf album?
His cousin, yeah.
Really good stuff. And then the guy who replaced him, whose name escapes me, to Blackmore, to everyone he ever worked with, Tony Iommi, all the guys through his solo career. Always great guitar players with him. Dio ends the song with a stellar vocal vamp again as the song slowly fades out. Bonus points here for the Joe Barresi, if I'm pronouncing his name right, remix from 2022 that is 6 minutes and 10 seconds long, so it has a longer fade out, and it has this definitive ending. And Vinny, the Golem, as a co-worker, a friend of mine used to call him, on the drums, does some really nice drum work towards the end. So you got to check out that 2022 version. I know it's on the streaming services because that's how I heard it. And it has this definitive crash bang ending.
I got to check that out.
Different than the fade out.
That's a good different remix of the Holy Diver album.
Interesting.
Definitely, because a few songs are longer on that version. So I recommend checking out that version. That's my number 8, Holy Diver. Number 7, I'm going to hit an album we have not hit yet. 1992, Dehumanizer. Written by Tony and Geezer and Dio, of course. 6 minutes, 10 seconds. Track 1, Computer God. Love this song.
Awesome.
Starts off with industrial factory sounds, reminiscent of where Tony used to work before he left to start continue his career with Sabbath, when he unfortunately cut off the tips of a couple of his fingers. Vinny kicks off the proceedings 15 seconds in. Tony enters about 25 seconds with his snarling riff. Dio comes in 10 seconds later, and we're off. Geezer shadows Tony, but he steps out on his own at the 109 mark with this little bass fill that's really cool. It's an angry song, yet it has a memorable chorus, like you guys were saying. That's what I have in my notes. I love the mellow breakdown at the 3-minute point with Dio's sweet vocal over Tony and Geezer and Jeff Nichols on keyboards here again, until Vinny brings it all with his pummeling drums at the 4-minute mark. Then Iommi unleashes a screaming solo at 4:18. Dio comes back at 4:55, and Tony takes us out with another slam bang solo from 5:31 till the song ends at 6 minutes, 10 seconds. I think this is an underrated gem in Sabbath's catalog. Whole album's great. And this was the first time I saw Dio live and Sabbath live, 1992 at the Beacon Theater. They played 2 dates there, but both shows, the second song, they opened with Mob Rules. Computer God was the second song. I'm not sure which show I saw, but definitely saw this song live, and it was great live, and it was a great show back in 1992. Little before you were born, Logan.
Do you remember? Do you remember who opened, Davey? Was there any opening
I
act?
think it was an evening with Sabbath. They played an hour 45. I don't think there was an
Awesome.
opening act.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
Cool,
that
man.
tour. We had Exodus
Uh,
open here at Buffalo, but I'm not sure when
But
that show and his show was, so it could have been a different leg or who knows.
I think Danzig opened for that tour too a little bit.
Yeah, I
So
think
was
they
that
had
the
different openers depending on, what leg it was or, that kind of thing.
Well, if there was
yeah,
an opener, then I missed them because I just remember seeing Sabbath
uh,
there.
certain openers would have been more popular in certain areas, right? So if in Canada,
yeah,
it could have been like a Canadian band or a band that was more popular here opening or something like that, right? That's how it
Yeah.
might have been.
It
But,
could have been an opener, but I only remember seeing
yeah.
Sabbath. I'm not sure. So my number 7, Computer God. Number 8, Holy Diver, title track.
All right.
Nice.
awesome.
All right. So my number 8, I go into a song that nobody mentioned yet so far off the debut Dio solo album, talking about Caught in the Middle.
It's
Awesome.
Love that song. I just love
Nice.
the Vivian is just amazing on that song, and what can you say? Every song on that album is pretty much the only song. There's only one song on that album I really don't really care for too much, and that's "Shame on the Night" for some reason. I just never got into that one for whatever reason. But the rest of the album, top notch, great stuff, including "Caught in the Middle," which is just a great song that never really got its just due. Never got no airplay. And if you mentioned the song, only the people diehards would probably really know it. Nobody, a lot of people wouldn't even know that song if they tripped over it, probably. But I love it, and that's why I got it at number 8. And I'm going to go with my number 7 now. And of course, it's another epic song. Going to go back to 1985 and the Sacred Heart album. And what song are we going to go with? The epic, the title track, Sacred Heart. Great
Yeah.
song. Another song that, it never really got any love on the radio. I think on that album, they were basically playing on the radio, if I remember. I heard the King of Rock and Roll on the radio and Hungry for Heaven, I believe. Those were the two. And Hungry for
Yeah,
Heaven obviously was a part of Vision Quest soundtrack too, but
yep.
Sacred Heart, definitely, I think that's one of the albums that a lot of people kind of overlook by Dio. It was kind of like that. That was the album where, like, the first part of the album is really, really good, and then the second half not so much, or it just doesn't. It's not as solid on the back side as the front side, and that tends to happen every now and then. That was probably more or less the sequencing, and the songs just weren't as strong as
Yeah.
some of those ones that we mentioned, unfortunately. So this is kind of
So
where.
and Viv was kind of starting to want to leave because of the whole money
Yep.
situation. And,
Mm.
yeah,
So things were
yeah,
starting to not look so good there. And of course, by the time they made another album, that's when Craig Goldie came in, like you said. So Caught in the Middle, number 8, and number 7, The Great Sacred Heart. That's going
awesome.
to take us to number 6 and 5 there, Mr. Sidney.
All right. So my 6 and 5 are actually going to be from the same album, which we've discussed. None of the songs, though, have been discussed. So we're going to Dehumanizer now with not my
Nice.
number 6 is TV Crimes, actually. I know this song kind of gets not criticized, but people don't say it's like one of the better songs on the album, but I don't know. I like it. It's almost a
Yeah,
thrash song, really. It's
fast.
I, I remember watching a interview. It's the interview called Brutally Honest Interview with Dio. I think this was like right after he left Sabbath the second time, and he was very angry. But like he did get into stuff like what they were listening to at the time, and they asked him that. They said this album seems almost heavier than anything that you've done. Are you listening to like any of the other like newer bands? And he mentioned bands like Nuclear Assault and stuff like that. So you can kind of hear a little bit of that thrash influence in a song like this. And then the music video
Yeah,
is just hilarious. It's like they did it literally. TV crimes. The TV gets stolen and keeps going through different people. People keep stealing the TV from each other, and it's just totally ridiculous. But the song is just great high energy, just fast in your face song. And then we get to Time Machine is my next one, also from Dehumanizer. I think I would go with the Wayne's World version because there's actually two versions of it
yeah.
on the album. And the Wayne's World one's probably the one I heard the most because I loved that movie when I was younger. I used to watch that all the time, and that was a standout song. I used to listen to that soundtrack all the time too, and that was the one that really stood out. Was that song? Just such a, and I always think of that scene when when I hear that song. They spoof the scene in the Terminator where he gets pulled over, and yeah, but that's a great fast song. I love Time Machine. It's another one with a good catchy chorus. Again, heavy but with lots of melody. And yeah, that's my 6 and 5. TV Crimes and Time Machine.
Great deep tracks. Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with deep cuts, guys. Yeah, and I feel bad. Dehumanizer, maybe it'll show up. That's all I'm gonna say.
Maybe.
I love that album. But it might show up, maybe. So I'll get into my 6 here, which is I think, it's my first song from Holy Diver. It's kind of a deeper song. I always think it's like the second side equivalent to Sidney's "Don't Talk to Strangers" that he mentioned. It's Invisible. Love that song. Got a great melodic, like we were just saying. I mean, we could say this probably all night about all these songs, but it's got like a great melodic intro start with a clean guitar passage, and and then the whole song just builds up, kind of like a mid-tempo rocker. Kind of like same kind of tempo as like Egypt on Last in Line. It's got that same kind of feel to it. It's a little bit faster probably, but I just like the whole message of the song and everything. Because much like how we did on Davey's show when we did Triumph, Ronnie wrote a lot of inspirational kind of, believe in yourself kind of things.
Yes.
This song kind of always resonated with me for that. So yeah, it's just a great track. I love Vivian solo, and I wanted to mention too because Davey brought up that 2022 remix. This song is longer too on there, and Viv gets another solo at the very end, and it just makes it even better to me. So yeah. I was really surprised to hear that today because I listened to that today. I think it's the first time I've heard that remix, but yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. So that's my number 6. And then my number 5, we're going to a song that Sidney said should have been higher earlier, which is Heaven and Hell. Can't say much else besides what he said. Great bass line. Love the groove they get with the drums and the bass on that song. It's a concert staple for a reason. Great Ronnie lyrics, probably some of his best lyrics he ever wrote. Love how it gets fast, like Sidney said. And I even like the ending part with the little like kind of Renaissance fair kind of music. I even like that a little bit at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that probably was the song for me that really kind of wanted me to get into him more. And Sabbath I know I heard Paranoid like all the way through, and that was probably a big thing, but I probably heard Heaven and Hell around the same time. So it's always kind of been that battle between them two for me with Sabbath. I mean, just them 2 albums, But yeah, it's my 6 and 5. So I'll throw it over to Davey.
Nice. Thank you. Good choices. I'm going to go to an album we spoke about, but not a song yet. Written by Vivian Campbell, Jimmy Bain, and Ronnie James Dio, whose name is actually first in the writing credits. Little under 6 minutes. The title track, To Last in Line, from 1984. And this song is Dio's highest charting song on any chart that I could find. Number 10 on the Billboard mainstream rock charts. And again, you get a mellow beginning over the band's deftly light touches until Dio shrieks the word home. And that's just so awesome. And it kicks in at the 53-second mark. And I really like Jimmy Bain's bass work throughout this song. Great bass lines throughout the song. Awesome. Viv unleashes another exquisite solo. And Claude Schnell also making his debut on this album with the band. And it's either him or Ronnie. They have some nice keyboard touches on this tune. It doesn't say who plays keyboards. They're both credited with keyboards on the album. And I love Dio's snarling vocal. And there was a cool video to this one. Although it hasn't dated that well, I think it's better than the videos from the first album. But it's a cut version of the song, unfortunately. Cool video, very sci-fi and freaky. Like sort of a takeoff on the Terminator at the time and science fiction movies.
I'm looking at it right now, Davey. It's Don Coscarelli, the guy who directed Phantasm.
That's right.
That video.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool.
Which is a cool horror movie. with Angus
Oh, yeah.
Scrimm as the tall man and the ball with the spikes in it. Even I
Yeah.
saw that horror movie, and I'm not a big horror movie buff. So my number
Yeah.
6, The Last in Line title track. Number 5, we've mentioned the album, but not this song. Little under 5 minutes, written by Butler, Dio, Iommi, and Bill Ward, the great Bill Ward, from 1980's Heaven and Hell, Die Young. It's my number 5. And Jeff Nichols starts off this song with proggy keyboards. Then Tony enters 14 seconds in. The song jams out at 48 seconds. And Dio enters at the 1 minute, 7 second mark with ooh. And then he goes right into the lyrics. And I love that ooh. Awesome.
Yeah.
The song gets mellow at the 2 minute, 3 second mark with some stellar bass by Geezer. And then it kicks back in at 2:35 with Nichols swirling synths. You get some great Tony Iommi guitar work. Dio is the star here, but Tony tries to match him for intensity, and he has a shrieking solo from the 4 minute mark to the outro fade at 4:45. Great song, one of my favorites from Heaven and Hell. Die Young, my number 5. Last in Line, my number 6.
Nice.
Great pick.
Thanks.
Great pick.
Over to you, Joseph.
All right, very good. Well, my number 6, I don't believe we mentioned yet, and this song is really, really famous. It was the first solo single released from the debut Holy Diver album, and this song was so popular it became a beer commercial down the road. And we are talking about Rainbow in the Dark, the song Ronnie kind of didn't really like as much as people would think. He always kind of, in interviews, he didn't really like this song that much. He thought it was too commercial.
Right.
And but this is a song that everybody knows and everybody knows Dio by. This is just one of those great songs that just classic Dio with the powerhouse vocals.
Yeah.
And man, and just takes it all home here. And like I said, they did a little Budweiser commercial featuring kind of like the tune and twisted the lyrics around "This Bud's for You." It's on YouTube. Check it out. I sent it to these guys, and how many people can come up and say that they did a beer commercial, with one of their biggest songs. I mean, I don't even know what it made me even think of this the other day. It's just insane. But even Ronnie at the end even says Anheuser-Busch St. Louis at the end of the Budweiser commercial. So it's pretty cool.
Money. Joseph, if I could just add one thing,
Yeah.
2 fast things about that song. Dio didn't want it on the record, and the rest of the band had to convince him, dude, you got to put that on the record. That's a hit. People will love that song. It's catchy. He was against it, but he listened to the band, luckily, because that's what broke his career, that song. And the other thing is on the Joe Barresi, hope I got his name right, 2022 remix, the keyboards are a little lower in the mix. So it's more of a hard rock song and less keyboards. They're there, but they're lower in the mix and the other instruments are pushed up. So that's a cool version too. If the keyboard line annoys you and it's too twinkly and commercial for you, check out that version. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine. I mean, that's the problem with keyboards. But my number 5 song, actually, the keyboard has a different texture to it. And it's a song that you just mentioned, Davey Cretin. We're talking Die Young from the Heaven and Hell album. And that song it has a great keyboard intro there. And song just smokes from beginning to end. It's never loses. It's just, man, that's one of the songs that it's just amazing how, it doesn't really get the love on that album like the bigger songs do that do get all the airplay and everything. I don't know how it got overlooked. I mean, I remember, hearing it on the radio. I remember hearing, the big ones on the radio from that album. But I never really heard Die Young, but it's interesting, how that is. And it seems like they kind of adopted that formula Tony did later on down the road. He's got another song that kind of starts off similar on the Tony Iommi 7 Star featuring Tony Iommi. He's got that song Stranger to Love. It starts off with a keyboard solo very similar to that. If you ever heard that song, it was like it's the one where Glenn Hughes sings on the album. If you're familiar with that Black Sabbath album, they didn't actually call it a Black Sabbath album. It was more like I don't know, Black Sabbath featuring Tony
Yeah,
Iommi, but
really weird.
yeah, it was
Yep.
weird. But I mean, that album is good. Glenn Hughes did a great job singing the
That's a great
vocals on
album.
that album. And I just
Yep.
love the introduction to that song. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Die Young there, how it starts off kind of slow, and the song on that album is a little bit slower and more of a ballad compared to anything. If you're familiar with
Mhm.
Stranger to Love, compared to this, but this song just smokes from beginning to end. Die Young. Me and Davey agreed on the same spot for it. How do you like that?
Sweet pumpkin pie.
So number 5, Die Young. 6 was Rainbow in the Dark. Man, we only got 4 more left each. And if we're real good, maybe we'll have a few honorable mentions to discuss. All right,
So
Sidney, let's go
my
with
next
4 and 3. Yeah.
my next two are going to be from the same album as each other. So we're going back to Rainbow Rising now.
Ooh.
So these might be surprises. I don't know if anyone will have this. Probably not. This is definition of a deep cut. I don't know if they ever even would have played it live. I think I looked at it. I don't think there was live footage, maybe live audio of it. Starstruck. Love this song. It's one of the more just, I guess you can call simpler songs they ever did. It's just kind of like this bluesy hard rock song, but again, there's a great
Got
solo.
that riff going in my head right now.
Yeah, it's just yeah, that riff. Just like a fun riff. Like you can sing the riff. It's one of those songs where I'm constantly have that song in my head, constantly singing out loud at work. The lady starstruck, and people looking at me, what the hell is this guy talking about?
She's nothing but bad luck.
Yep, coming
Yep.
after me. Uh, Great song. I love how he sings that. He can do the bluesy stuff too. Like he's got a good voice for it. It just suits the
Yeah.
song. Great song, and of course, a great solo. I mean, you got Richie Blackmore, so it's going to be a great solo. It's kind of more reminiscent of almost like a Deep Purple type song, I would find. Like if
Yeah.
you ever
Yeah.
sang for Deep Purple, this is kind of what it would sound like, I think. A
Yeah.
song like Starstruck. Because
It's
it's
a
more
good
kind of
call.
like straightforward hard rock blues kind of song. Even almost like a Whitesnake sort of song, really, in a way.
Yeah.
It has that sort of feel to it. Really kind of like a bluesy hard rock song. And I love that.
Well, going
then-
back to the Elf days.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. And
Yep.
then my next one is going to be from the same album, Tarot Woman. Love that song. And I used to play an online, yep, Tony Carey, excellent keyboard player. This is where I love keyboards. I'm not a big keyboard and hard rock fan, but with this music, you gotta have Rainbow without keyboards isn't Rainbow.
Correct.
Because he uses it as a lead instrument. It's not burying the other instruments, right? Like he's doing it as like a lead, and it sounds amazing. The interplay between that and the guitars is just Tony Carey doesn't get enough credit at all. No one mentions him when it comes to great keyboard players.
You're right.
I'd argue he's just as good as John Lord. Like you hear these Rainbow albums, and he's just only one. He only did the one, right? He only did Rising.
And he's on
And
3
then
songs on Long
Parts
Live
of
Rock and
Parts
Roll.
of Long Live, yeah. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
great keyboard player, and yeah, Tarot Woman's another great song. But yeah, I used to play like a lot. I used to play on a game called DC Universe Online, basically like an online multiplayer game with lots of other people, open world game. And one of my characters was Tarot Woman. It's like a sorcery character, and I couldn't believe the name wasn't taken. I'm like, sweet, I'm using that. So yeah, I love that. I love that song. Another great song. Just it's epic. It starts off with all that keyboard work, which is amazing, and then yeah, just the whole the drums that are going throughout it too. Just kind of like this. Yeah, it's kind of got the Maiden Gallop a little bit. So it's
Yeah. What
I
a
think
great
this
intro. What a great first song on second album, I guess.
I think this would be a very influential song. I would feel like it's. I don't know, it's just such
Yeah.
a great song. So that's my number, 5 and 4? No, sorry, 4 and 3, right? To be Tarot Woman would be my 3, and 4 was Starstruck.
Cool.
More deep tracks.
All right.
Yes.
Yep. I'm gonna copy a little bit of what Joey did a couple times ago. Going with the title track, "The Sacred Heart," as my number 4.
Nice.
Just love the epic feel of that song. And I do agree with Joey. The second side of that album is kind of iffy. Got a couple great tracks though. I think all of side 1 is pretty killer. But yeah, "Sacred Heart" as a song, I just think it's probably up there with some of his better epics to me. About 6.5 minutes long, written by all the bands credited there. But yeah, it's just got this like kind of like Rainbow feel to me. Kind of feels like a Rainbow like stayed in that kind of direction in the 80s instead of going like, Richie want to go more commercial with it, and that's what caused the rift between him and Ronnie and everything. But if they kept going, I could have seen them doing a song like this. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's an underlooked album. A lot of people kind of, I mean, you look at Holy Diver and you look at Last in Line, okay. I mean, I get it, but this isn't that big of a drop in quality to me to, but yeah. So that's my number 4. And number 3 is a song that was also on Joey's list a little while ago. It's Stargazer. Had to be a top 3 to me. Love it from the start of Cozy Powell's drum intro
Oh,
to, the end of Ronnie, like just giving his all, man, in that last like 2.5 minutes or whatever he does. Um, he says, I see a rainbow rising and everything. I get chills every time I hear
Yeah.
that. Doesn't matter how many times I've heard it. It's just one of the best, definitely one of the best side openers ever because it's the open side too, I believe. But yeah, just killer. Love the riff. Um, love the lyrical themes, kind of like mythical themes that they do with the wizard, and all these guys are like looking up to him and he falls, and they're like, oh, what do we do now? And it kind of leans into Light in the Black. I love how that side 2 of Rising displays. I mean that's just one whole track to me, really. But yeah, that'll be my 3 is Stargazer and 4 is Secret Heart. So yeah, I'll throw it over to Davey.
Nice. Good choices. My number 4, the album has been mentioned, but not this song. And it might be somebody's number 1 because it's just so up there in the pantheon of Ronald Patagonia. From Long Live Rock and Roll, 1978, written by Blackmore and Dio, nearly 7 minutes long, the epic from the album, one could say, Gates of Babylon. And David Stone is one of the 2 keyboard players. There it is on vinyl on this record. And he starts the song off with some great keyboard work. And then Blackers is in his cashmere Middle Eastern mode throughout the song. He has some awesome guitar solos from the 3 to 5 minute mark. Just this long extended solo that goes through different highs and lows. Dio shines on single and multi-track vocals on this whole number, just elevating it between the guitar work and the melodies, the keyboard playing, and Dio's vocals to legendary status. My number 4, Gates of Babylon. Number 3 has been mentioned before, written by the whole band. Heaven and Hell, 1980 is the album. 5.5 minutes long, Children of the Sea. The first song written, like we mentioned earlier, once Dio and Iommi got together. Iommi's strumming the intro on the electric guitar, and he's interweaving with Geezer on bass. And Ronnie is on point on the vocals here. And then Bill comes crashing in on the drums at the 39-second song, and we're off to the races. Dio's vocals are awesome throughout the song, with a chorus that lifts and is a high watermark in the Dio Black Sabbath era, to me anyway. And Jeff Nichols doesn't get enough credit here because he always plays the perfect keyboard underpinning for Iommi's Flights of Fancy on the guitar. And once again, you get Dio going, look out. And this is before Holy Diver. And I love his lookouts. Awesome, awesome. So my number 3, Children of the Sea. Number 4, Gates of Babylon.
Great.
Right.
Thanks.
right. All right. So that's going to take me to my number 4 and my number 3. My number 4 is going to go back to Holy Diver. And a song that starts off like a ballad, like somebody had said, because this song was on their list. We're talking about Don't Talk to Strangers,
Nice.
because they're only there to do you harm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a great song. What can be said about it? It's just amazing the caliber of the songs on Holy Diver.
Yeah.
They say, sometimes when you write your debut, you got all your life to do it, but when you write the follow-up, you only got like minutes or whatever, however the phrase goes. But gotta remember Ronnie was already writing songs way before with Sabbath,
Yeah.
Rainbow. So for him to come up with these particular songs for this album is just simply amazing.
Yeah.
In that short a time span from the time he left Sabbath to coming out with Holy Diver. Man, what a great batch of songs that were created here. But Don't Talk to Strangers is definitely I think my favorite song off that album. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about it. It was always one of my favorite ones when I bought the album. That was one of the songs that always stood out. Obviously, Rainbow in the Dark was why I bought the album because I really liked it, and I figured, well, the rest of the album's going to probably be pretty good, and I pretty much hit that nail on the head because the rest of the album is actually great.
Yeah.
And Don't Talk to Strangers, that was one of the songs after you play it the first time or two, stuck out like a sore thumb. Just a great song, stuck out head and shoulders above the rest of the album. And yeah, it got a little bit of airplay, on our like overnight. They would like Friday nights, our radio station, and there was also a show called Metal Shop, and they used to play a lot of album tracks on there as opposed to the hit singles. And our radio station, actually, our local radio DJ, he would uh, he would go on the air Friday nights for 2 hours and play whatever the heck he wanted. And man, he used to play some great stuff. And this was definitely one of the albums he would always play something from it. It's just a great. That's how these songs. Some of the ones that didn't get regular airplay, they still got some airplay that helped people get a chance to see more about the artists. Because if you just saw Rainbow in the Dark, you're going, okay, well, good song, but there was a lot more to that album than just that one
Oh, yeah.
song, and the radio didn't really see it that way unless you did have, I know Davey had a lot of radio stations probably out by you that did a lot of different formats and did a lot of unique things as opposed to
Yep.
a traditional radio station where they're only going to stick to playing,
Yeah.
the hits or whatever. So that's why radio was a little bit more enjoyable back in the day compared to nowadays. It's just the regular standard radio nowadays is a joke
Yeah.
compared to back in the day. As you
Oh
know,
yeah.
that's you got to have satellite radio now to even enjoy anything. So that's number four. Number three, I'm gonna dig into the Heaven and Hell album. Not sure if anybody mentioned this one, but that album was interesting because Heaven and Hell, they credited all four members of the band on every song.
Yeah.
So that was not sure probably if they did that just for whatever's sake, but everybody got credit, including Bill Ward. This is the track that starts it all off. We're talking none other than Neon Nights.
Yeah.
And yeah, just a great song. As soon as I put that cassette on, because that's what I bought it when I first got the Heaven and Hell album, it was cassette. I put it in the old player and Neon Nights came screeching out of it, man. What a great song. And then from there it just got even better and better, the album. I mean,
Yeah.
and just a note, Queensryche actually redid this song on their
Yeah.
covers album, Take Cover, and I thought Jeff Tate did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Another great,
They
great,
do it.
one of the highlights
Nice.
on that album for sure. Neon Nights, though, just a great Black Sabbath song, and always one of my favorites for sure. And it's good old medieval, magical, mystical Ronnie James Dio with all his great words and lyrics and everything. It does that song has a little bit of everything in it.
Oh yeah.
So for number four, Don't Talk to Strangers. Number three, Neon Nights. And boy, I still got two dandies coming at one and two, and I'm sure you all do as well. So let's get them rolling here. Come on, Sidney. What is your number two here?
My number two has been mentioned, I believe, by I think everybody except for Logan, maybe. It's hard to keep track, but it's Die Young. This is probably it's my favorite Dio. It's probably my favorite Sabbath song, actually. So I love
Great.
Die Young. I love how it starts with that weird little creepy keyboard intro and then just comes in and then how it gets heavy at the end and he sings really fast. I love the part at the end where he just says, Die Young, Die Young, Die Young, Die Young, Die Young. Like really, it's so aggressive with it. And like his voice though at the beginning when he sings that soft part, it's like it's so amazing how his voice changes in that song. Says this like
Yep.
really soft, beautiful voice, and then when he starts singing, it's like, wow, this is the same guy. It just gets really aggressive. Just this song really highlights his vocals, I find. It's just such if you want to listen to a song for just vocals, like
Mm.
just if you were to take the isolated vocal track from this, it probably still sounds like amazing. You would listen to that and be
Oh
like,
yeah.
hey, this it's just as awesome. It's just such a great song. And again, it changes, right? It gets really fast at the end, and Tony goes nuts on the solo as he always does. Like you said, Tony never has a bad solo.
Right.
So I guess we're gonna do two and one then. We're not
Yep.
gonna do two. Okay. And then yeah, my number one. You're not gonna be holding me back from it. It's a light in the black. It had to be my number one from Rainbow Rising. Love that
Yeah.
song. It's what, like 9 minutes?
Yeah.
It's a long one, but you listen to it and you swear only 2 minutes went by because it's just you would think like a 9 minute song. You'd think, okay, it's sometimes you're just waiting for the song to be over because it's so long, and you're just like, okay, this is dragging out. Nope, you listen to
Yeah.
this, it's
You don't
nine
want that
minutes,
one to
and you
end.
swear it was only 2 minutes that went by, and you're like, what? It's over? That was 9 minutes? But like, it just goes by so quick because it's such a great song. You're getting so into it. It's such that solo in there. It's a speed metal song, really. It's that song influenced countless of bands. I would have to believe, like, it's such a great song. And in this, I've noticed, so in the three big bands that he was in with Sabbath, Dio, and Rainbow, he uses the line "Lost and Never Found." He uses that in Light in the Black. He uses it on Rainbow in the Dark, and then he uses it on Lady Evil on
Yeah. Yeah.
Heaven and Hell. So
Hmm.
yeah, he uses it in three of the big bands that he was in. He says "Lost and Never Found." It's weird. He really liked reusing that line for whatever reason for excellent musicians. So that was easy. When you brought up this topic, I'm like, okay, well, number one's Light in the Black. What's my rest gonna be? So that was an instant. That was the one that I knew easily right away. So yeah, I have most of Rising on here actually for the most part. So that's my
Great
number
album.
two. My number one. Head on over to Logan. No,
Cool. All right.
yeah, Logan.
Yeah. All right. So my number two has been mentioned a couple times, a time or two. It starts with all the windy effects, and you hear lightning crashing, and you know, all this stuff going on, and I don't know what's making that noise. I guess the keyboard, the droning sound, it just like goes down in tone, and then that riff hits you, man. Obviously I'm talking about Holy Diver. Yeah, just one of the best metal songs I think ever, really. And yeah, I love the video, like Sidney was saying. It's it looks a little campy and goofy now, but Ronnie with a sword, man, it's still awesome to me. But yeah, probably Vivian's best overall solo to me is on this song. I just love like how we were talking about. It keeps the melody of the line going, but like he does all this, fancy scale work, and it's just amazing stuff, man. Got a great chorus, that everybody can sing along with, and love the ending ad libs that he does. Black and the blue coming out for you, and the lookouts we all talked about. Yeah, he's just yeah. Ronnie's just one of the best, man. He's always been one of my favorite singers. He always will be. But yeah, so that's my number two, and my number one was mentioned by Davey all the way a while ago. It's off the Mob Rules. It's the Sign of the Southern Cross.
Nice.
Yeah, I love this track, man. I'm a big horror movie guy, and I get a real horror movie feeling from this
Oh yeah,
song. Yeah,
really.
very eerie, kind of creepy kind of feel.
Hmm.
Love that bass effect on Geezer's bass on the verses. And like if you're listening to it with headphones, Sidney knows I love doing this. It pans around like your head. It's like going between the left and the right channel, so it gives like a creepy kind of feeling just off that. It's just awesome. I mean, I love that little break, and it's not like anything crazy that Tony's doing there, but it's just like a couple power chords that moves up, and it just gives like this atmosphere that I just love. Great fills from Vinny on that track. Yeah, it's got a great solo too. Tony starts doing like a bluesier kind of solo, which I think Tony, like, this is his period for like the slower kind of tempo, blues kind of stuff, like Over and Over, and stuff like that. I mean, he was just improving every single album pretty much in that kind of department. But yeah, and just how Davey said, how it fades into the instrumental and it goes into Mob Rules. It's just like, can this get any better? I mean, it's awesome, man. But yeah, it's my 2 is Holy Diver and my 1 is Sign of the Southern Cross. So
Nice.
All right.
go ahead, Davey.
When Joey first gave us this assignment, I made a list that I thought was conservative. It had 40 songs on it. And to pare it down to 10 with some honorable mentions, this may have been the hardest top songs list I've ever had to do because I've left out so many awesome songs. I feel guilty about it.
Well, you could do like 100 songs, and your 100 would be like a 10 out of 10 song.
Yeah. What an amazing catalog, just that all the bands he's been with and everything. My number 2 has been mentioned by many people here, From Rising, 1976, written by Blackmore and Dio, almost 8.5 minutes long, Stargazer. This could have been number 1. I thought a lot of people would have it at number 1, but it's been mentioned already. And any song that could bring the godfather of YouTube, our godfather, Mr. Pete Pardo, to such an emotional state has to be up there.
Crying
because he listens to the song and he just feels it in his heart and soul. And it's an epic song. And I do want to mention, because what could I add really about this song? It's just one of the greats. You could say that album, that song kickstarted the whole power metal genre. And without it, Stradivarius, for example, wouldn't have a career. But there is a rough mix of this that came out in the 2000s where Tony Carey does a minute and I think 9-second synth intro to the song. It's only on the rough mix and it's great. But Richie Blackmore didn't want it on the record because he said, well, he's the new guy in the band and he did the intro to Tarot Woman. So why is this new guy going to steal my spotlight and start off 2 great songs? Start off side 1 and side 2. So they cut Tony Carey's great synth solo out. So you got to find that on the streaming services, on YouTube. It's on there and check it out. Yeah. It's called The Rough Mix. And it came out in, I think, 2016 or so, if not earlier.
It's like a New York and a Los Angeles mix. I can't remember what one it is.
Right, but neither one has it. It's only on the rough mix.
Oh, okay.
And there are slight differences in the sound between the LA mix, I think was on the original album, and the New York mix has a little more reverb and just echo on it. And it sounds slightly different. And one thing I can add that I don't think anyone mentioned, besides Cozy Powell's great intro drum work, Blackmore's doing some, like, I think, string scrapes on his guitar.
Yeah. I'll even go on that. Yeah.
Cozy's wailing away. And it's just an epic song. And my first song I didn't want to say before because I didn't want to ruin it. But this is the first song I heard in 1980 on the radio here, one of the New York stations. I don't remember which, from Heaven and Hell, the title track written by the band. And I heard that voice and I said, who the heck is that? Because they never played Rainbow on the New York radio stations that I remember until Since You've Been Gone. That was the first Rainbow song I heard on the radio. And that was the accountant in the white suit singing, because Dio had left already. So the accountant was singing that song, Since You've Been Gone. Yeah. I call him the accountant.
Don't do Graham dirty like that. Come on.
He did my taxes because that white suit. Yeah, there he is.
Doesn't look like a musician.
Outer space. Sure. That's what he looks like. He's in outer space. But Heaven and Hell was the first song I heard Dio on. And I know I said, who the heck is that singing? I never heard a voice like that before. And the song is about man's struggles between.
There he is.
There he is.
Can't tell if he's going to do my taxes or sell me Coke.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man, Shevitz, as Howard Stern would say. The song is about man's struggle, the struggle between good and evil. It holds a special place in my heart because the first song I ever heard by Ronnie. So Heaven and Hell is my number 1. Stargazer is my number 2. Maybe you could flip them around, and hopefully we could do some honorable mentions because there are so many spectacular songs.
Oh, yeah.
Over to you, Joseph, who's in black and white.
Here we go.
Thinks he's an accountant.
My number 2. We're going to go from 1980. And we're going with the song that Dio used to play second mostly on his solo shows, and just love this song. In the Misty Morning, Children
Oh,
of the Sea, baby, no doubt about it. Phenomenal, just a great song. I've always loved this one. Lyrics phenomenal, and like somebody had mentioned, yeah, it was the first song that Tony and Ronnie wrote together. After Ozzy and Tony was saying how it was like they could never write stuff like this with Ozzy. It just
oh
didn't
God,
fit,
no.
just didn't fit the mold for Ozzy's voice and everything. Dio had so many ideas, so much creativity. And, although his lyrics, he always had a lot of great lyrics, but he did tend to stay in that magical I don't know how to describe it, medieval, that
Yeah,
same kind of
it's
mold
fantasy.
with the lyrics,
Yeah,
fantasy mode, or whatever you want to call it. But, you know, just phenomenal lyrics, though. Great song. Tony's guitar playing. And of course, I think one of the things that, even though the guy never really enjoyed playing on that album, he says that his favorite song on that album is like the weakest track on the album, in my estimation. Bill Ward, I mean, he brings that album all home. I think Bill Ward is kind of like obviously everybody plays a part, but I think Bill Ward's part kind of goes more unnoticed than everybody else because after this album, he left.
yeah,
And then they got Vinny Appice, and then they carried on from there. But it seems like the production for Heaven and Hell was just a little bit more crisper than Mob Rules. Mob Rules seemed to be more of a muddier mix of an album, I'd say. It wasn't as crisp and clear I think a little bit had to do with the drumming. Not saying that it's bad, but I just like the mix on Heaven and Hell much better. And Heaven and Hell is definitely the best, in my opinion, the best Black Sabbath album, period. Doesn't matter who sang with the band. Heaven and Hell's head and shoulders
Davey's
above
like, no,
anything that Ozzy ever did with the band. Just a solid album from start to finish.
no,
So yeah, they should have named the band something else. That's another show in itself we could talk about
Yeah.
someday. But as it stands right now, Children of the Sea is my number two. And my number one, and we're going all the way back to the second Dio album, and we're going with the title track. The
long
first
live.
song I heard off that album when it came out, oddly enough, it was the third single release, but our radio station started playing it right off the bat. And we're talking about the title track, The Last in Line. And that's the
Nice.
band name that the remaining members
Yep.
tour under right now. So there's a reason behind that. That song is just the epitome of the Dio catalog, at least solo wise. And The Last in Line. I've always loved that song. Just listen to what Davey said about the song. How he's got it all time lined out when everybody comes in. Just a great
Yeah.
song, and the way it kicks in with each member. And yeah, this song. First time I heard it, man, I had to go right out and get that album when I knew it was out. It was just one of those strong albums, and oddly enough, and we'll talk about this later because actually, yeah, I thought I would have more from this album on my top 10, and I'm really surprised that I don't
Yeah, me
because
too.
I
I
just
was like, I
love
thought
The
I had half
Last in
of
Line. I mean, you wouldn't know it from looking at my list here. I mean, but I had a good variety of things on here. But
Yeah.
seems like the Heaven and Hell album kind of and Holy Diver kind of took up a lot of spots on it. It's tough, like Sidney said in the beginning, it's really tough trying to pinpoint down, because we've done episodes. I mean, at least on my channel, I've already done ranking the Black Sabbath albums, ranking the Rainbow albums, and we also rank the Dio uh, solo albums, um, or Dio band albums, however you want to word it. But it's the first time I go, yeah, it'll be great to just throw in all the Dio songs that he's ever been associated with,
Yeah,
and just try to see, what comes out as the top 10 because. And as you can see from our list, it's a varied list.
really
You
different.
got a lot
There's
of good variety here, and we're going to continue
Yep.
that variety by mentioning our top couple. I don't know how many you guys all got, but we'll start off with
30.
Sydney. Just give us,
Well,
like your top 3 or 5 or whatever you got there.
I could just
Honorable.
go all of basically the rest of Heaven and Hell and the rest of Mob Rules because they're perfect albums. So I'll cheat and I'll say the rest of those albums. And then
Yes, indeed. Yep. Yep.
even Holy Diver, I could just pick the rest of the other songs on it. So it's like it's kind of. But I'll go a little bit off the board here. I've got Gambler Gambler from Elf. Oh my god,
Ah,
I can't remember what album it's off of though. I think it's off the final one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think.
Trying to burn the sun.
Yeah.
Uh,
That one?
yes, Gambler Gambler, great song, just bluesy rock song. I love that chorus. Like it was kind of almost points into a little bit into the direction that he would go on the first Rainbow album,
Hmm.
which makes sense because that first Rainbow album is basically Elf but with Richie on guitar
Right.
instead.
You
So,
know what I found weird because I listened to
and
these Rainbow albums to do this. There's a song called Rainbow on Carolina County Ball, and that's like 74. I thought that was
which is
kind of
yeah,
odd, but
so
yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
I'd go Gambler.
coincidence.
Then I'd from Holy Diver, I'd go Stand Up and Shout. I thought that was going to be in the top 10, but I
Yeah,
had it off. But
Yeah,
that's
nobody
another.
mentioned that till now.
and that's a great opener too.
That's a oh yeah, that's such a fast solo. His
Killer.
Vivian's solo on that is like what the hell? Just such a fast song. Then yeah, Man on the Silver Mountain. I don't know how I left that off there, but it's the biggest hit, I guess. Aside
Yeah.
from I guess that's be Rainbow's biggest hit, anyways. The
Mhm.
Man on the Silver Mountain that still gets played on the radio, but I don't mind when that comes on the radio because it's a really good song. Another good catchy song. 16th Century Greensleeves. Another love that song as well. And when they played it live, they kind of had that weird little intro with like 16th Century Greensleeves into the song. Yeah, another good song. And then from Mob Rules, Turn Up the Night. Another good song. And they
Great.
throw in there's a part where they throw in oddly enough, they throw in the Speed King riff, that descending Speed King riff that's been used 1,000 times. So just kind of interesting. They were copying from Deep Purple with his Richie Blackmore connection. Maybe that was Dio
Yep.
saying, "Let's copy Richie." I don't know. Yeah, those would be my honorables, and then I'd like to even also maybe like acknowledge. I don't know. You check it out when it was before they were Elf. They were actually called the Elves, and there's actually a live album that they did. I don't think it's like an official release. I'm not sure if you can get a true release of it, but it still sounds good, and you can tell it's live. There's no overdubs whatsoever. It's like strictly live, and yeah, it's Elves. I think mostly covers for the most part. I think there might be some original material, but what's interesting, and this was recorded in like 1970, 71, they cover War
Yeah. Looks like.
Pigs. They
Yep.
cover War Pigs, so it's interesting hearing him do War Pigs when it was only like a 1-year-old song, and the way before he would even, like 10 years before he even ended up in Sabbath, and they do Aqualung. So you get to hear
Yep.
Ronnie going, "Sitting on a park bench." It's really
Check
weird.
that out.
You got to check that out. The Elves. Check out the live album. If just for those two songs alone, it's interesting to hear them do an early like War Pigs when it was still a new song, and
Yep.
like Aqualung. Yeah, I was gonna cheat and pick those as my number 1 and 2. Imagine that I said that. My number 1 Dio song is War Pigs.
People would have thought you were crazy.
I'm like, what's this guy talking about? But it would count. It technically counts. It's live, but it counts. I don't think
I
you can
think
count live covers. That doesn't really count.
No.
I think you might have been the one to show me that, Sidney, if I remember right.
I mean, definitely check that out, though. Yeah, check it out. Even just for those two songs, like just you got to listen to those two. It's interesting to hear that. So yeah,
Cool.
that's be it for honorables. I'm sure I'll
All
think
right.
of something once this is over.
Let's see what Logan has.
All right, so I wanted to mention two off an album that it pained me to leave off the top 10 because I love this album and I think it's kind of underlooked in the catalog. It's 1990's Lock Up the Wolves. I really
Okay.
like that album. Rowan Robertson's the guitar player and he's like 18 or something when he was
Yep.
making this album, and he's just, I mean, he's kind of just as good as like the other guys to me, like Craig Goldie and Viv. He's got that same kind of tone. I mean, you can see why Dio would go that route with him. And I
Yeah.
went with Between Two Hearts, which is kind of a slower, bluesier kind of song. Kind of like Ronnie kind of stepping out of his comfort zone too, and like lyrics, because this is like about like relationships and it's a little different, you know. And I did My Eyes, which is the last track on the album, which has plenty of references to, he says heaven and hell in the lyrics, and Stargazer, he says stuff about Stargazer, and
Okay.
just kind of like, it's kind of like a good send off to them first 5 albums to me. Because I feel like after that, he kind of started going in the heavier direction, and you know, I still like a lot of that stuff. I could have wrote down some of the songs off Strange Highways. I really enjoy that. But yeah, them two. And I did Overlove from Dream Evil, which is total Craig Goldie loving Richie Blackmore. Right from that opening riff, it's just like, it sounds like something that Richie could have done. But yeah, I got that one. I got two more. I got Catch the Rainbow, which is off the first Rainbow album. Kind of a nice melodic, slower paced song. I love Ronnie's vocals on that song. It's just kind of like magical, you know, kind of. Just love the whole feeling of that song. And then I got Voodoo from Mob Rules, which I just love that riff. And I think it's even better on the live album because Ronnie like does this whole like sidebar like thing about voodoo and to stay away from, you know, people, and it's just awesome. His stage raps were always cool, I thought. So yeah, those are, well, and I want to mention too, the Iron Eagle soundtrack. He did a song called Hide in the Rainbow, which is really good. It's kind of underlooked. It could have been like around Sacred Heart period.
Yeah.
So he could have put it out on that. But yeah, those are the 6 that I had. So
All right.
cool.
And I have 6 also, because just going from 40 to 18, and I cut 2 amazing songs. And I told Joey, I said, I'm not cutting anymore. I'm saying 16. So really
40,
fast,
come on.
my number 16, Stars. The song from
Oh,
Hearing
yeah.
Aid.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
That's
Which is-
great.
That
It has
He's
great
on it.
melodies. Dio singing on it with half a dozen other singers. So many great guitar solos in it, but the melody of the song is great. It has a catchy chorus. Cool video. It's over 7 minutes long, the song. So it's sort of not proggy, but it's just a cool long metal track. And it's catchy.
Yeah.
Number 15, when Dio worked with the leading light at the time in Kansas, from Kerry Livgren's 1980 solo album, Seeds of Change. And he wrote like all the great Kansas prog songs in the 70s. And Dio sings 2 tracks on the album. To Live for the King is one, which is a 5-minute ballad. And it's a great melodic song. But the one I want to highlight, over 7 minutes long, Mask of the Great Deceiver. And it has an amazing Dio vocal performance. So even though at the time Kerry Livgren was a born-again Christian and Dio was an atheist who didn't believe in God, in the liner notes to the record, Kerry wrote that this guy is not a Satanist. We just disagree on our positions on a heavenly being. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So Mask of the Great Deceiver, if you don't know it, check it out. Number 14 is going to represent all the commercial poppy, catchy Dio songs, and I picked Mystery, which hit number 20 on the mainstream rock chart, number 34 on the singles chart on the UK. Mystery is catchy. I love it. Great, quick pop rock song. Light in the Black was my number 13, which was Sidney's number 1. An amazing song, the continuation, like Logan said, from Stargazer. Number 12 was mentioned, Turn Up the Night. Great song, and I remember hearing that on the radio when my family was vacationing in Florida. I don't think I ever heard it in New York, but in Florida, I heard it on the radio. And number 11, going back to the Dehumanizer album, longest song on the record, a hair under 7 minutes. The sleeper song on the record to me, Too Late, is a great song with great performance from Dio, excellent guitar work from Iommi. So that's my number 11, Too Late.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I love that solo in Too Late, man. Oh.
Just like you mentioned these songs, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's another one. There's just so many. And Gamblers from the first Dio, the first Elf album, by the way. First album.
You know what the song that hit me from Elf was Wonderwall. I think it's from Trying to Burn the Sun, the third one. It's
See,
a
I like
really
all the
good
songs
ballad.
on all that stuff. I like all that early Elf stuff too. I like that kind of stuff. So I don't mind his Elf albums too. So yeah, it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
It is. I played it recently for the
I knew
show. So.
I was waiting for you to pick the Carrie Lithgren one. I thought that would actually be on your top tens.
Honorable mention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
that is a great song.
Well, let me close out this honorable mention gig here. We're going to go with number 15, all the way back to the last in line. And we're going with the song that was mentioned, Mystery. It's
Nice.
always a mystery. Just a great song. I think this was another one that Ronnie wasn't too keen on because it was more of a commercial, a little bit more commercial than what he would have liked. But
Rainbow in the Dark Junior. Yeah.
yeah, I would say so. But I
Mystery of the
feel
Dark.
that Mystery definitely should have gotten some airplay.
Oh yeah.
It's like after the two big songs on the album, uh, that would have been my third choice for playing something off the album if I was a program director for sure at a radio station back then.
Yeah.
Number 14, we're gonna go back to the guitar playing of Craig Goldie for my number 14, and we're gonna go back to All the Fools Sailed Away. What an epic! And this song is just phenomenal. I actually got to interview Craig.
Nice.
Oh, man,
Awesome.
I think it was 2016, and I asked him about this song, and he was telling me a little bit about it, how that was the first time that him and Ronnie worked together on an epic. He said, well, because of his love for Deep Purple, he said, I was the reason why there is a keyboard solo. I guess, usually in the Ronnie James Dio band, there wasn't really any
No.
keyboard solos. There were just keyboards playing.
Yeah.
So it was pretty, that's kind of what his idea was there to get that black, the influence there. And Claude Snell, he said, came up with a really cool solo and it worked. And he said that it was a very special song to him because Ronnie knew how to create. And there's no doubt about it. Listening to that song, that's exactly what we got here. And since we're talking about Claude Schnell, I just want to mention that he actually spent a lot of time here in Buffalo, New York, even though he's not from
Well,
here or anything. He was. I actually talked to him once. I didn't interview him. He was just. I don't know how it happened, but I was talking to Claude Schnell over the phone,
nice.
and we were just telling. He was telling me all about his time here in Buffalo, and how he played with Billy Sheehan in some of the local bands around town while he was going to college here. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And just this past December, I found out like months later that he was actually in town with Billy. Billy does like a holiday show. He comes back to Buffalo every December and gets together with a lot of the Buffalo Music Rock and Roll Hall of Fame people, and they put
Nice.
on this Christmas show. And Claude came with him this time, and it was pretty cool. I hope that happens again because I'd really love to go out and check them out. But that's just a little sidebar note there because Claude Schnell is still out there. And he had a big part in a lot of these Dio songs than more people realize here for sure, and definitely on All the Fools Sailed Away. 13 is a song I don't think anybody mentioned. I was shocked. I was thinking about this. We are talking about the opener from the last in line, We Rock.
Oh
And
yeah,
man, if
dude.
I would have said to
Yeah.
myself that I did not have this song in my top 10 Dio songs, I probably would be, I don't know, I would have probably shot myself or something. I can't believe I didn't have it, but I just think over time this song still a great song. I do have it as honorable
It's a
mention, but
great
I
song.
I just think it's kind of lost some of its luster. I don't know why. But it has. But I still like it. Don't get me wrong. That's why it's still an honorable mention. Number 12, I've got the first song where most people ever heard Dio on a national level, radio level. And of course, we're talking about Man on the Silver Mountain, the song that he sang with Rainbow there on the first Rainbow album. And number 11, this song, it was really, this one and Stargazer, really tough to 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 weigh the two out. It's like trying to pick your favorite children, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't have anything to do with these two songs, but this song got beat out by Stargazer, so that just goes to show you how much more I like Stargazer, but it was only a little bit more. We're talking about Heaven and Hell. Yeah, I was kind of surprised Heaven and Hell just didn't crack my top
Yeah.
10. But man, it's right on the cusp there. It came as close as you can possibly get. I'm thinking Stargazer, Heaven and Hell, man. What a tough choice to try to determine which song was going to make the top 10 and which one was going to go to the honorable mention category, unfortunately. So that's what I've got for mine. And I'll tell you, man, you guys picked a lot of unique songs. We got a good variety of songs here, just like I was hoping for. That's
Yes.
why when I came up with this idea for the show of who I wanted on here, I know having the dynamic duo over here of
I would pick
Slogans
nothing
Rock
out
and
of
Roll
that.
Extravaganza would definitely pay off with that for sure. And of course, me and Davey Cretin, we've done many, many, many shows together, and we'll have a song or two that are usually right on the money. Like this time we had number five, Die Young, both of us at number five, and a few other ones that were in the same ballpark. So I knew we were going to get a good variety of songs. That was the whole purpose of everything, to kind of showcase the great Ronnie James Dio. So
Yes.
there you have it.
Yep.
The top 10 Dio songs along with honorable mentions. Feel free to leave your choices in the comments. I'm sure there's at least 20 other songs that we could have mentioned that we probably didn't, but we'd be here all night. So leave them in the comments and tell us why you like it, and how you got into Dio. When did you first come in? I think it was very interesting how all of us came in at different points. When you had a long career like that, that's bound to happen. And when you
Oh,
got some
yeah, for
age
sure.
age differences too, different people when they first start picking up on artists, or you're going to come in at a different point on an artist, especially one that's been around before some of you guys were even born. So I mean, heck, Ronnie was even around before since I was born, even for that matter. But he didn't really hit anything big until he really with that Rainbow album. That was definitely where things really, really hit home for him. And, ever since then, he's been a household name, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good, gentlemen. Thank you for coming on. And if you guys want to just tell about your channels real quick before we go,
Yep. We yeah, Slogan's Rock and Metal Extravaganza. It's pretty much in the name. We just discuss rock and metal all the time, and it's, I guess, similar to this, to different topics. We started doing like band series. We started with Triumph, then we did Cinderella, and now we're on doing everything that John Sykes has ever done. So
Yep.
upcoming this Saturday, we'll be doing the final two John Sykes solo albums at 7 p.m. Eastern. And joining us on that one, we're finally glad to have Peter Kerr from Rock Daydream Nation joining us for that one. So that'll be a delight. It's a little bit later than we usually go on live. We do it live, so it's a bit later. We usually do it like earlier in the day, but we know we tried to get Peter on there, and he's in Australia, so it's tough to get people booked from Australia. So that'll be a really, really fun one. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that.
Yep.
And then we just kind of do like music hangouts, so we're just going to do music reactions to obscure bands from every state. It's called State to State Obscurities and First Listens, and we'll be doing that on Sunday with the states Mississippi and Missouri. So
Yep.
that'll be fun to just expose people to music that most people never heard of. So just
Yeah.
look forward to that. And then
Joey, man, thanks for having us on. I appreciate you bringing us back.
all
it's
right,
basically what we're up to.
a lot
And
of things
yeah,
happening there.
Slogan Rock and Metal Extravaganza. We're looking forward to having you on there again.
All right, very good. Yeah, it would be a good time for sure. And Davey, what do you got cooking over there?
Cretin Classics. I got a bunch of hard rock and metal stuff on the channel already, including stuff on Judas Priest, Queensryche, Dream Theater, bands like that. But I do other stuff too. Got some Fix content. I just saw the Fix, and I think the wife and I are going to tape our concert review after this or over the next few days. And I got some guests coming up, like Johnny Metal. His last show before his hiatus will be on Cretin Classics. We're taping next week. It should come on early May. So look for Johnny Metal's first appearance before his little hiatus from YouTube.
All right, sounds
And
good.
one more thing. Jack Toledano from All or Nada, according to Jack, coming on, and we're going to rank the catalog of a progressive metal act, and I'm not going to say who right now, so that'll be a surprise.
Dream
All right.
Theater.
Not Dream Theater.
Threshold.
All
He's
right.
naming all the
No.
ones that you just did.
Yep.
All right,
Those are
folks.
the only ones I know, so I don't know.
All right, great having you guys here. We'll do this again sometime in the future.
Yeah.